Good morning and good afternoon to you all. I hope you and your families are doing well and staying safe during these worrisome times. I'd like to welcome you all to today's video. My name is Angel Laura, and today I'd like to discuss with you some current events as well as events that occurred in the 1930s. But before we begin, I want for you all, my audience, to ask yourselves this question. Do you believe that history has a way of repeating itself? And I want you guys to keep this question in thought as we go on further through this presentation. Excuse me. So here we are, it's 1930s. Our president at the time is FDR. Stock market crashes. And from 1929 all the way through 1939, we go through a period of what's known as the Great Depression. And this resulted in a severe worldwide economic downturn, which left approximately 15 million Americans unemployed. So with this new problem came the solution of the New Deal. Now, basically what the New Deal was a set of government programs intended to fix the depression and prevent further ones from happening. Now, the New Deal primary focus was a recovery for the economy and to fix the economy. And although it did so by very little, and it did in fact lower the rate of unemployment, it still did not help the people. You know, people were still unemployed, a lot more people were still unemployed, and a lot were still poor. So what came after this was known as the Second New Deal. 1935, Second New Deal comes along, and this New Deal focuses primarily on reform and relief. Reform for the economy, to fix the economy and get people back to work. You know, when you get people back to work, they make themselves money, and they're working, they produce for businesses. If businesses are producing, therefore it'll help the economy produce. And relief. During the relief programs, the government did in fact give money to the jobless and those of the poor people. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, that at this time a lot of people were not working, a lot of people did not have any money. Now, what I want you guys to take from this is there were three major acts that were administered through the Second New Deal. And I believe these were our major ones that really did, in fact, help the Americans. First, we have the Workers' Progress Administration, the WPA, the Resettlement Administration, and what we have today, Social Security Act. Now, the WPA, this solely addressed the highly unemployed. This created work. Ladies and gentlemen, understand that at this time, no work was available. This was the solution to that problem. This created work and created jobs for people, so people can come and work and make some money and also produce. So with this came projects of building roads, highways, bridges, things that we still use and have today. Second thing that came along was the Resettlement Act, or Resettlement Administration. And this was solely for the farmers. This provided loans for farmers, tenant farmers, sharecroppers, any kind of farmer within that field. And it also indeed it helped a lot of the African Americans, because at the time not a lot of African Americans were allowed to own farms. A lot of them were more tenant farmers. So this also provided tenant farmers as well money to be able to, just to get by. And then of course came along the Social Security Act, which basically created a pension for people over the age of 65. But not only did it do that, it just established a federal responsibility for social welfare, as well as created a system of unemployment insurance, which meant that the government would temporarily aid us, which was well needed. Okay, so that was going on in 1930s, and I bring that up because, in my opinion, I feel today we are living in our own somewhat of a Great Depression. I call it the New Great Depression. I mean, it's 2020, and what's happened already? COVID-19 came. It came out of nowhere, and They threw everything off, okay? And if you notice, when the stock market crashed in the 1930s, obviously no one was prepared for it. We weren't prepared for it. It threw us off. COVID-19 came, we were not prepared for it. It threw us off. And if you look, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, from February of this year, or the beginning of this year, all the way till April, the unemployment rate increased from 10.4% to 14.2%. The number of unemployed persons in the United States rose by 15.9 million to 23.1 million. That's a vast increase, you know. So comparing these two different times, although what happened during the 1930s was an economic down crash, compared to what we're going through now, a pandemic, a virus, different scenarios, but they both have the same result. And this is why I say, and this is why I ask you, my audience, do you believe history has a funny way of repeating itself? I believe that it does. And it's just one of those times where, you know, we don't notice until it happens. But then by the time we actually notice, you know, it's already too late and we're already just going through it, you know. But what I also like to mention, and what I've noticed, is the same way that the government did their best to take care of us in the 1930s, you can see that even now, okay? To help during this pandemic, the government, you know, they did multiple things. And they first started out with sending the stimulus check. I don't know how many of you guys received yours. I didn't receive mine, but, you know, it's something. You know, they sent, what was it, $1,400 a stimulus check. I mean, that helps right there, you know. They also provided business loans. You know, a lot of small, especially small businesses, as well as family-owned businesses, were deeply affected by this pandemic. So those loans did help businesses to stay on their feet and to keep paying their employees. As we all know, a lot of people were furloughed, you know, were let go temporarily due to what's going on. So those business loans right there help put money in their pockets as well. And not only that, I mean, the government is also pushing to reopen so people can work, just as it was in the 1930s with the WPA, the Workers' Progress Administration. It was trying to get people back to work, back to produce. Now the same, and I believe the same is going on even, at this time. Excuse me. You know, the government are trying their best for us to get us back to work safely and be able to produce, you know, make money and produce for our businesses, which will then therefore produce for the economy. So I believe, as I mentioned before, that during this time, our time, 2020, we are in fact going through our own new Great Depression. Because as you can see, and if you relate all the information, this isn't the first time we've gone through this. I like to say it will be the last, but, you know, again, history has a way of repeating itself if you're looking at the facts, you know. And I like for you guys to share your thoughts and share your opinions, okay? And as always, stay safe, and thank you for your time. Take care of yourself.